begin. Hi everyone, I am Sneha and I work with Glific on business development and sales. So my work majorly is about talking to NGOs, figuring out if Glific is a tool that they would like to use for their programs, and also help them in building the tech capability to handle the platform. So that is something that we do. I also have two team members with me, so they might be jumping in during the time to, answer your questions. I have Shamoon, who's a developer with us. If you have any technical questions with respect to the platform or anything
in progress,
anything with respect to the platform, feel free to, ask Shamoon. We also have Krishna here with us. She's working as a product manager. Any questions that you have with respect to features on the platform or anything, so we're happy to answer those questions for you. Yeah, so that's about us. We would also like to know from which organization are you joining in from. Would be great if you can just either rename yourself, put your organization's name along with your name, and also put you can also mention that in the chat window as well. So that would be great. Thanks, Vidushi. Thanks, Elsa. Okay, all right. So I'm going to share my screen and we will just walk you through the presentation. We'll also, during this time, we will talk about how Glific, what Glific is all about, what is a chatbot, and at any point in time you have questions, you can, just note down those questions. We will take those questions by the end of this session. Okay. All right, let me just share my screen. Okay, assuming my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Shamoon. Okay, okay, so let's just directly dive into the presentation. So we have spoken to a lot of NGOs in the past, and they have been talking about a lot of challenges with respect to the programs that they're running. There are few aspirations that they have in mind. One of them is like, how can they reach more number of end beneficiaries? How can they scale their operations? And how can they scale their operations effectively? So that's one challenge which we have seen while working with NGOs. Another is, how can they utilize their already working with limited resources? How can they utilize their time, energy, and resources effectively, and have technology in place to overcome the barrier of using these resources effectively at their organizations. We've also seen a lot of NGOs struggle with the question of what exactly the data is of the program that they're running on ground. So there's also a lot of challenge around understanding how can we get the right data from the program, and also show it to either funders or people in their network, so that they're also able to show their impact in a better way. So yeah, so that these are like couple of challenges which we have seen while working with NGOs, and we have been working with a large pool of NGOs at Glific. Another one is how can we use tech, where to begin, how to start using tech, and also understanding, hey, do we have the right expertise to leverage technology? And that's where Glific comes into picture. So Glific is basically a communication tool, and it's a communication tools which NGOs use to bridge the last mile gap. And through this tool, they can scale their operations. If they're running a program on ground with a limited set of audience, can they take their program to more number of people pan India? So that's exactly where Glific comes into picture. We have more than 70 NGOs working with Glific as of now. And through the platform, through Glific platform, they have been exchanging more than 10 million messages. So that's what the scale is of our NGOs. So yeah, so and these NGOs come from various different backgrounds. Here are some of our partners. I'll just pause here for a bit, see if you can find some names that you might have interacted with in the past. Okay, I'll move to the next one. Also, one more thing, if you have any questions during this time, you can, feel free to just post it on the chat window. We have Shamoon and Krishna here. They can also answer those questions during the time. Otherwise, we'll take those questions towards the end. Okay, through our NGO partners, we're working in 8 different states, and we're working specifically in these 5 sectors. Most of our NGOs are from the education space, be it school education, college education, or early childhood education. So larger chunk is of education. Then we also have NGOs working directly with farmers and helping them take care of their crops better through effective farming. We have NGOs in civic engagement like Reap Benefit. They have been running their programs to activate local citizens to solve issues in their community. Yeah. Okay. Let's just understand what a chatbot is. Before I do this, I just will probably open a quiz here. Just want to see how many of you already know about a chatbot. It's just a basic quiz to understand the audience, where the audience is currently. Okay. Okay, all right. Thank you very much for answering that. We have most of our people here, they know what a chatbot is, but we still have a couple of people who, who are new to chatbots. So we will just talk a little bit more about what a WhatsApp chatbot is. Let's just talk about the WhatsApp ecosystem first. So on a daily basis, we use WhatsApp to communicate with our friends and family, right? So that's an app-based WhatsApp that we all have installed on our phones. That's the basic WhatsApp. WhatsApp Business is you download a separate app, which is a business app. Smaller organizations basically use these business app to reach to their audience, to their target audience. But the reach in this case is slightly limited because one person is messaging, let's suppose 500 people, and then that one person is managing all those conversations, right? So how can you deliver right content to everyone becomes a challenge in this case. Then we have WhatsApp Business API, which is a chatbot. It's a platform based, and through the platform you can scale to let's suppose you're currently at 500, you want to take your program to, let's suppose, 10,000 people in a particular state or a particular district. That's where a chatbot comes into picture. Scaling, but also keeping personal touch with the users. So it's basically a one-on-one solution, but you are automating those conversations so that you're giving the right information at the right time, but not having one person at the back end to send that information each time one person asks you for. So that's what a chatbot is. Most of our people, our community members, are on WhatsApp, and it's a very powerful tool. And we've seen people just use WhatsApp over any other medium. when it comes to having a conversation with people. So that's what a WhatsApp chatbot is. If you have any questions on what a chatbot is, we can you can just post that in the chat window.
Neha, there are 2 questions in the chat window. Do you like
Sure.
to take it right now?
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
should I read it out?
We can take these questions towards the end. One is understanding Gupshup's role with Glific. So Gupshup is basically a WhatsApp message provider. So we directly don't work with Meta. We directly don't work with Facebook or Meta. We have a message service provider, that is Gupshup. So all our NGOs are that get onboarded onto Glific also get onboarded onto Gupshup, and Gupshup basically is the WhatsApp message service provider. So that's what the role of Gupshup is. Is there an interface, UI, UX design and used for non-profits by WhatsApp? I did not understand this question very well. Krishna, did you understand this question? Is there an interface designed and used for non-profits by WhatsApp?
Vaidehi, I would suggest if you can actually unmute yourself and ask your question so that we can answer properly.
Go to the previous slide. Okay, this one. Vaidehi, we'll just take your question in a bit. Okay, hold on to your question. I'll just in the meantime try to close the presentation, and we'll take your question towards the end. I'm assuming you're talking more about having a interface for NGOs to have a conversation or something around that. We'll just ask you for more information towards the end. Okay, so why WhatsApp chatbot? Why you should consider thinking of implementing a chatbot? Because at times what happens is most of our community members are on WhatsApp, and it's very easy to communicate with them on WhatsApp. At times what happens is organizations say, hey, can we have a portal where people can come, or ask them to adopt a different new technology. Hey, let's make a portal where people will come, they will go through an LMS of a sort, and then have access the content there. It becomes slightly difficult because every time the user has to then go to the platform and log in, and then it just adds as an additional barrier. And through WhatsApp, it's very simple. You just automate things and they can get the content on the phone itself. So that's what WhatsApp helps you with. There are a lot of languages that we have on our WhatsApp. You can actually have a conversation with someone in rural India. They would be speaking local language. You can have the content in that local language. You can customize the content so that it is what your people are familiar with. So that's what you can do. It operates with low literacy. You can actually ask them to record. Instead of typing, you can ask them, hey, can you record a voice note and share with us? We're going to talk about those towards the end. And also WhatsApp is basically doesn't consume a lot of space. You can just have one app instead of having 10 different apps on your phone. So that's where you can think of implementing a chatbot. Sorry. Okay, let's talk a little bit about our use cases, and let's start with Quest Alliance. So Quest Alliance has designed a WhatsApp chatbot, and they've named it as Iki. So Iki is helping students of grade 7 to 10 teach coding in 2 languages. One is Odia and other one is English. And they have done a lot of gamification around the content. They've used games, they've used puzzles. Once you start chatting with Iki, you just can't stop. It's a 1 hour content which generally they deliver through the bot. And I'll just take you to this to the screenshots here. In the first one, you would see a user has typed in hi, and there's an introduction. There is an introduction to. Sorry, I would request people to mute. Okay. So in the first one, you would see user is typing hi, and Iki is responding by saying, "Hey, my name is Iki, and if you're interested in learning with me, type yes." In the second one, they have used creative elements. I would just pause here. They've used creative elements here. They have actually, put nice creatives here where there's a bot who's in a village and trying to solve human problems. That's what the second image is all about. They've used a lot of creative elements. And in the third one, the focus then shifts to problem solving. So in the third and fourth slide, just look at the fourth one. They have given sort of a puzzle to students. Look at this piece of land. It's been lying barren for many years. The farmers wants to cultivate. Do you want to help? And then there's a urge to, I want to help. It's just how they have put the content in an engaging manner, and then students get into, the mode of, going to the next question and going to the next message. So that's how they have been teaching computational thinking to 6,000 students. They have also been monitoring their program quite well. They've set up a data dashboard. This is where this is how they're monitoring the interactions on the platform. Overall, this is an old data. Till March 15th, the bot has reached to 8,000 students, and through the dashboard. So this dashboard is something that you can design with us, and you can, customize this as per the data that you want for your users. So this is what they have done. They've customized the data dashboard through Google Studio. Just pause here for a bit so that you can see the dashboard. Okay, let's now move into the next one. We have TAP, the Apprentice Project. So Apprentice Project is also an education-based NGO, and they have been leveraging AI and NLP to offer curriculum to students. It's a self-learning platform which they have developed, and the content that they have on the bot is mostly around sharing, video-based electives, and also asking the students to do activities on the platform.
Hello everyone. Up, buddy. So what's up?
I'm just going to play the video here. Krishna, let me know if you're able to hear.
Chatbot.
We are able to hear.
Social and emotional skills such as creativity, confidence, and problem solving into students through simple activities. A student's journey starts by clicking on the registration link that redirects them to the bot. The registration process starts with giving consent, allowing the bot to message them further. The next step is to select a language in which they want to interact with the bot. As of now, the bot provides 2 languages, English and Hindi. It is then followed by collecting basic details of the student, like name, grade, and school name. As we believe in choice-based learning, students choose which course they want to learn to build their skills on. We send a course overview video for each course, which helps students in making an informed decision. After completing the course selection, students receive one bite-sized activity embedded with skills every week. We have also built a natural language processor in the bot, which replies to the questions asked, which are different from the keywords on the buttons provided. These activity videos have an assignment for students to complete and submit to us, which will help us assess their learning. A quiz about the content they just viewed follows every activity a student completes. Throughout a flow, gamification elements are added to intrinsically and extrinsically motivate students. This is inspired by Yu-Kai Chow's gamification octalysis framework. While leaderboards, point system, and badges are part of extrinsic motivation, messages including elements of building curiosity, scarcity, appreciation, and social influence intrinsically motivate students. Constant feedback is also taken from users to involve them in strengthening the product. Users who stop a flow in between receive reminder messages to nudge them to complete it. The uniqueness of TabBuddy is that there is no extra setup needed, and a familiar UI that consumes lesser data makes it convenient for underprivileged students to learn from home with a basic smartphone connection to the internet.
Okay, all right. So that was on TabBuddy. We also have Krishna here. So Krishna has been working closely with Tab on their project. And would request Krishna to share a bit on how they are using NLP right now. One feature we already saw here, which is instead of typing a keyword, they're just asking a question and it redirects them to the right content. Just want you to, just share a bit on how they're using it beyond this as well, if there is any use case.
Yeah, thank you, Sneha. So TabBuddy works with children, like as you see, children from the age group, like from the grade of 4th to 10th. So generally, there are kids, like generally kids are very curious. They ask a lot of questions and they don't follow the ideal pattern or whatever the keyword that is expected from the children. So what happens is whenever somebody asks a different question, the bot sometimes can't handle that because that's different from what is the keyword that is being asked. So to handle that, TAP has used natural language processing. So natural language processing is, it understands the question or statement that is being made by the user, identifies what is the intent that the user wants to communicate, and based on that reply whatever the answers that are fed in already. So like this is kind of Chat GPT, but it's not as powerful as Chat GPT because it's not taking any answer in the world. So the way TAP has handled it is, it has collated all the commonly, like frequently asked questions. They have selected some common patterns and have identified like 10 to 15 common intents. For each intent, they have trained the bot with certain statements that are already being used so that the bot's confidence get increased. And they said like, hey, if a question comes in this category, please give this particular answer. If the question again comes, a follow-up question comes on it, then like give answer 2. So that way, some of the frequently answered questions are being handled by the bot currently. So that's how TAP has used NLP in their particular chatbot. Any questions on this?
How difficult was it to set up?
So it's not very difficult to set up because we are using Google Dialogflow for actually handling those intents. So when I say in terms of setup, it's mostly like a programmatic decision that needs to be made. Like, hey, for what questions you want to set up the NLP. So you finalizing that data, training the bot. So it's not very difficult. It's a few days of work that just goes into it. And for an end user, it's like very simple. It's just like a normal bot conversation that is going.
And how did you get people to first try this out? Was there a learning process on that, like to teach them how to go through it?
So for a user, there is nothing new that they need to learn. So ideal flow process is to follow the keywords or follow the buttons that are being given. So TAP wants it to be used the way, like TAP wants the happy path to be used. So the NLP is used in such a case where that happy path is not followed. So in that case, users are not specifically trained on it or like told specifically like, hey, you can actually send some other statements and bot will answer, because that way kids would ask anything in the world. So it's not used that way. So like NLP came into place only when the kids are not following the ideal path that is being set. So it was just piloted with 2000 kids directly, and was like the responses were tracked for next 1 month to see which intent category is getting more questions. Is the bot able to respond to that intent category accurately? And what's the confidence level of the bot whenever a new question is coming? That is something. So we have created an NLP dashboard also for TAP. So like TAP is currently analyzing that particular dashboard to see if it was actually answering all the questions. Did that answer your question, Elsa?
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, Krishna. That was helpful. One question that I have. So let's suppose a student is sending a message which you have not set in the NLP, right? I mean, it's a different content which a user is sending. In
Right.
that case, what happens with the bot?
So when we were creating intent categories, one, there are certain intent categories that we have identified and we would want to put it. There were two other
sorry,
intent
could you-
categories that we have put. Like one is others, like what if it doesn't match any of the existing intent categories? So what should be the standard response that should go? So that is one thing that was being set as a part of others. And there was another category that we have created called acknowledgement category. Because sometimes a user might not be asking any question. They must be just saying, okay, thank you, okay, I'll do it. Something like that. So we have put that as into the acknowledgement intent category, so that the bot is not responding anything saying, hey, I didn't understand, something like that. So acknowledgement, bot wouldn't respond. Intent categories, bot would respond based on whatever the category is. But if it is like some other question which is outside the bot's knowledge, it would send like a standard response that the organization has set.
Got it. Thanks. So basically, intent categories are like, depending on what the users have been asking outside of those keywords, you would bucket those in different categories and
Yeah.
then send a response accordingly. That
Yeah.
is
In the case of TAP, it's like students might ask questions about how to submit, or how the materials should be used, or if they haven't got the activity, or any questions on the quiz, etc.
Okay. Thanks, Krishna. Okay, so if you have any more questions on TAP on NLP, we can take those towards the end. I'll move to the next use case, which is on digital green. So digital green is working towards empowering smallholder farmers by creating a world where farmers use technology to build prosperous communities. What they have been doing on the bot is sending crop advisories to farmers. They have expanded their reach to Andhra, Telangana, and Jharkhand, and they are currently reaching to 11,000 farmers. They were, when they started the program, they were at 300 farmers, and they were doing a training in person, and they wanted to supplement that training with something that would stay with them once they go back home. And that's where their program, that's where they started working on the chatbot. Through the chatbot, they are doing, they're supporting chili farmers. One thing that they're doing is they're sending personalized advisory. Basically, they would ask you a couple of basic questions like, hey, at which stage your crop is on right now? And they would have a crop calendar at the back end. They would then, on a timely basis, keep on sending message depending on where the crop is at this point in time. And they're just sending personalized information to all the farmers, depending on what their crop is. How can they take care of their crops better? What are the best ways to, what are certain things that they need to do better on the field to get better yield on the ground. So that's what they have been doing, basically sending personalized advisory. The other is sending weather advisory. So what they're doing is they're actually capturing location of the farmer, and they're capturing the location, and wherever they are, they're sending the weather of that particular region for next couple of days, so that they're able to plan their crops better. They're able to take care of their crops better. So they ask, hey, are you interested in the first screenshot? They're asking, hey, are you interested in receiving the advisory? Then there's an option to then the next message is, hey, can you share your location? This is how you can share your location. And the third one is, then the farmer keeps getting the weather advisory. The next thing that they're doing is they're also checking if farmers are willing to adopt the practice. So once they have the crop calendar set in place, they're sending some advisory to take care of their crops better. But by the evening, they also ask, hey, did you implement what we shared with you? This is more from a, they're more from, just understanding if the advisory shared is useful for them or not, and also helps them to improvise the content that they're sharing with them. So it's more like a feedback mechanism that they have set in place to understand what's happening on ground, and whatever content we are sharing, is it even relevant to them? So that's what is that's what they're checking here. And they're also collecting demographic data to understand where are these farmers from, and also just doing this for reporting purposes. So yeah, so that's on the board. So all these NGOs, we talked about three different NGOs having three different sort of programs. The common key is, you are getting input from your user, you have to share output or response to them, which is personalized. So that's what the key is when it comes to adopting a WhatsApp chatbot. Can you send personalized information, what your user would be interested in at the right time? And that's what the key is. Most of our education-based NGOs are using to send activities, worksheets. Healthcare NGOs, we have Arogya World with us. They've run a pilot with 1,200 people where they were controlling diabetes of people by sending them nudges on a weekly basis. Hey, probably you should control sugar that you're having this week, right? So as simple as one WhatsApp message, but towards the end of 6 months, they saw that there's a huge gap. They saw there's a huge difference between the two groups. They did a pilot to understand, hey, people who were sent nudges versus people who were sent lesser number of messages. So that's how they did a study. And they also implemented AI. Shamoon can probably talk about that later towards the end. We spoke about agriculture. We have Reap Benefit, which is working in civic engagement. What they have been doing is they capture the location of a person. They actually see how can local people report an issue in their region, and then people can actually see what's happening in their neighborhood. It's as simple as that. It also builds a lot of awareness around what's happening in my neighborhood. So yeah, so wherever you see a scope of digitally interacting with your end users, and you want to take it to scale, you want to give it a personal touch, and you also want to save on resources, not letting one or two people or a team handle it, that's where you can use Glific. Okay, so let's move into the platform features. Yeah, so once you log in, your platform, so basically WhatsApp chatbot, like I told you, is a platform-based solution. Through the platform, you are able to message people. On the right side, you would see all the chats your user had, your bot had with different users. So you would see all the names here. Once you click on one of the names, you would see a chat here. So, and if you click on load more, you can actually go back and, probably see the chat history in this case. So that's the dashboard. On your right side, on your left side, there are different items here. Most of the action happens in the flows section. Flows is basically a flow builder where you build the conversation that you plan to have with people. That's where you build the conversation. I'm just going to take you to the flow builder here. So it's a very basic drag and drop system to build conversation. There's very little technical expertise required. Even if your team is not you think they don't know about tech, they can still use the platform. So we also help you in onboarding and help you with give you a handhold of like how can you use the platform so that anyone can use this. There is a preview window on the right side. So here at the bottom, you would see preview. Once you preview it, this sort of a mobile simulator pops up. It actually shows you how, how you are building the conversation. And you can, keep changing the conversation and you can edit your content here. Yeah. And talking about this, there was a question on the chat about the content. So we generally expect the NGOs to have the content in place, if depending on what their use case is, but we also help you in building that content and how should you put that content on the bot. What are certain things you should definitely consider while putting the content? Should you ask the user to type a message versus give them buttons? So that's where we, support you with. So yeah, so this is how the flow section looks like. There is an option of interactive messages. Like, would you give them a list option to choose one item from the list? List item is basically a list of 10 different items on it. Button is restricted to 3. Like if you can see here, there's a register now button here. So buttons are restricted to 3. And then you have a list option. So these are 2 interactive messages, type of interactive messages that you can set and put it here in your flow section. So yeah, so this is how your dashboard looks like. Yeah, and there are all the settings here. You can also control the access of this platform. You can restrict the access of the platform, and you can think about who are the right people to handle this platform. Do you want to give it to 2 people, 5 people, 10 people, depending on how big your program is. So yeah, so that's on the platform. Talking about our advanced features, we have spoken about NLP. There's voice support through which you can cater to the end users better. We have also incorporated Google Sheets. So we have seen that most of the people are comfortable using Google Sheets, and all of our operations, all of our work revolves around, working on Google Sheets. So what we have done is, if you have data on Google Sheets, if you have content on Google Sheets, you can directly, through Google Sheets integration, get that content on Glific. So that is something which we have done. So Google Sheets integration is another feature. Having multiple profile access on the same device. So this is where, so let's suppose you have, at times what happens is, in our communities, there's just one smartphone and there are 2-3 children in the same house. And they probably are at different learning levels. They're probably at different, grades. So how can you give them the right content, and how can you have different profiles on the WhatsApp itself, so that when this child comes on to WhatsApp, he gets the right information which he needs. So that's where the multiple profile access on the same device we have. We also then can track individual user journey and see what's happening with that individual user. Send personalized content to different user segments. So let's suppose on the bot, you're asking one question, hey, in which city are you in right now? And you have 3 options, Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad. And you want to just send a message to all the people who selected, Bombay. You can then put all the people who have answered Bombay in a particular collection, in a particular group, and send a message to those users only. So those sort of like putting people in groups, putting people in collections, and sending different content is possible. It can be like, hey, only students who are studying in 6th grade, I want to send this worksheet to them. So depending on whatever be your use case, you want to send personalized content to that particular group is something that you can do. Okay, so why Glific? Glific is basically built for nonprofit sector. We are just working with NGOs, and we know what sort of pain NGOs goes from. And we have been just dedicatedly working on, all our features, basically, whatever feature we have, it's just come out from whatever challenges our NGOs were facing. So that's where, that's what we have been doing. The platform is easy to launch. It's easy to pilot and scale. The platform is no code platform, and you don't need any technical expertise to get on to Glific. We have extensive documentation on GitHub, and we ask our NGOs to just use that documentation to find any answers to, or any questions with respect to the features. Hey Krishna, can you just pull the documentation and paste it in the chat window? Thanks.
Yeah, give me one.
Sure. We are a strong community. We support our NGOs through Discord. So any support that you need on a daily basis, or if you are stuck with any question, we ask you to just put your query on Discord, and we respond to your queries in very little time. So that's what we have been doing with respect to supporting on a daily basis. We hold sprints. Sprints are basically spaces where NGOs come together in person, and we work with them on implementing either they want to use a particular feature for their bot, or they just want to come and learn from the community members. They want to implement, or they want to think about scale. They want our expertise in, thinking about tech, not only for Glific, but for larger use as well. So that's where we, meet our NGOs. We hold spotlights. Spotlights are basically spaces where we showcase our advanced features, also showcase the work that our existing NGOs are doing by calling the NGOs during those calls. So yeah, so that's on the community piece. Just briefly touch upon the setup. So we offer two modes of operations. One is do it yourself. Basically, it's a SaaS offering where we set up the basic platform for you. We set up the platform, and once the platform is set, we have an onboarding conversation with you. So once that is done, we then hand it over to you so that you can take it forward from there. The other one is do it for me, is basically we design and customize the platform for you. We take care of the platform, and we are constantly in touch with you to understand what are your needs, and what are certain things that you need on the platform. So we take care of a platform in this way, in the consulting. Yeah. And on the setup process, so there are two things that we need in place to start the process. One is you need a phone number to use it as a bot number. And we also need to do a Facebook Business Manager verification done. So for Facebook Business Manager verification, there are a couple of documents which Meta asks you to submit. So once those two things are done, we help you set up your account on Gupshup and Glific, and you are then taken to the onboarding conversation. Yeah. Okay. All right. So here we are at the end of the presentation. The rise with the need of designing user-centric tech solutions and the rise of AI, NLP, nonprofits are adopting chatbots to deliver their program. So are you next? That's a question for the group. And yeah, we're open to any questions that you have.
This is Devlina from the Missing Link Trust. We are an existing client of Glific. We already have a chatbot that's currently running up and about, and it's running. We're very happy with the platform. We want to do a second chatbot and use a different phone number. We are having some trouble with the Meta business verification process right now. It's something about the documentation, I suppose. Wanted to understand if there is any way our content for the chatbot flow is completely ready. So is there any way we can, in the best interest of time, save all of this on the Glific, start creating the flows, keep it somewhere, and then as soon as the phone number verification process happens, make it go live? Is that a possibility?
Sure, Devlina, I can, connect with you after this. I mean, I know that process is a little painful, but also you are running one bot currently through, and you have already done the Facebook business verification, right?
Yeah.
So I think we probably need to just set up Gupshup and link the phone number with Gupshup and take it forward from there. But yeah, I can probably chat with you towards the end if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Shall I put my phone number or an email address in the chat so we
Sure.
can,
Sure, you can do that. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, any more questions? Will you be sharing? Yeah, I'll just share the link of the pricing with you here. Just a second.
Done, Sneha.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Whether just to add on that, we are an open source platform. So in case you want to, like, all our code and everything are available. In case you want to do that, it's always there. But yeah, we do it for you, the charges at which we will do it for you. And even if you are going as a SaaS model, it's shared here in the pricing page.
So just to clarify, this is Elsa. The pricing is for if we want you to help us set it up, right? But if we were to do it on our own, then it would be free.
Sneha, should I take or would you?
I can take. So there is pricing involved in both the cases. But for the consulting, where we set up your platform end to end, we manage it. That's, for that, there's a different pricing. But for the place where we just set it up and do a basic setup for you, there is a different charge attached to it. So there are two different charges, but yeah, it's a paid platform. So with the basic setup, you have to pay like a monthly subscription fee or monthly or a quarterly platform subscription fee. But in the other case also you pay that, but we also pay additional consulting charges because we are managing the platform for you. And that's charged on a hourly basis. So that depends on what sort of work you have in place and totally depend on your use case. Hey, Elsa, did I answer your question?
Yes, I'm just going through your pricing model.
Sure. Hey, Vidushi, you raised your hand.
Yeah, so Divya is also here. While listening to everything, there was this project that our organization has, which is primarily for girls, adolescent girls. And the locations that we cover are across India. So I was just thinking about probably using this chatbot, if it is possible, for monitoring and evaluation parts of it. And I was also trying to understand how much cultural sensitivity is there, because all of these girls come from disadvantaged sections, but at the same time, they come from locations where, let's say if they'd be using the phones, it'll be of their parents and they wouldn't have access to these phones all the time. So in that case, we would want to ensure that, like whenever they do get time, whenever they are using the chatbot, how safe it is, what's the language. I mean, I understand that if we use it, we'll be making it. But are all of these things also taken care of? Because these are again like adolescent girls. So I just wanted to understand if that like all these legal provisions are all also taken into picture.
Sneha, do you want me to take that up? Yeah. Hey, Vidushi. So, like as we said, like in both the types of models, the content would be coming from your team. So, the language that needs to be used, how do you want to design it? What time do you want to send? All these are decided by the organization themselves. So, in both the cases, we would be definitely pitching in and suggesting. Like we have some, I wouldn't say expertise, but some experience on designing chatbots. Like, so we would definitely add like, hey, how you can make the content better or how you can design it better so that it's catering to your users. So that is something which we'll definitely do. But what language to be used, how the content is to be framed is definitely the organization's call.
Krishna, I have another
Thank you
question which is
so much.
associated to what Vidushree was asking. See, this is a two-way communication in sense. The user uses the phone, like as you said, we'll be framing the question, we'll have the limitations or we'll have the choice of words what we use for the entire communication process. What if another person who is not an intended beneficiary who is using the phone, but who is using irrelevant reply or irrelevant messages or text? You have any automated thing that the bot reads it and do not respond to it, or can we cut off that message from the conversation? Because here, as Vidushree said, not just we are working with adolescents, we also work with the other age group from standard 1 to 5 also. So when it comes like when parents take the phone and if they see any irrelevant messages, they don't get trust from us, right? So what kind of safe space that we could expect when we use the system? In sense, like you have any screening kind of a thing for that message, or you have any disappearing message kind of a mode there that is there when you have any inappropriate message or a picture or a photo that comes in?
Okay, so if I'm understanding it right, you are saying if somebody from your beneficiary's family or somebody in their group is using the phone and sending some inappropriate messaging, is there a way to like disappear that particular thing? Am I right? So as of
Yeah,
now,
disappear and not to respond to it.
So this is more like basically someone else is jumping into a conversation that you're already having, and you want to not respond to that conversation, but probably want to hide the previous messages as well, so that they don't get to see what sort of conversation happened previously with them, right? So that there's sort of like privacy in terms of the conversation that's happening. It's more like a safe space that you have with that person, and they don't get into those conversations, they don't read those conversations, right?
Yeah, as we all know, we also have few policies in our workspace, and here when it comes to children, here Nalanda Way takes up this issue as a very serious issue, and we'll go complain. We'll have a formal complaint that is done in the nearby police station, and this has led to many other issues also. So building a trust in the community when it comes to government school and corporation school is a very difficult task, and also bringing the content to the child's place. To a personal medium like a phone, it takes so much of effort. So it shouldn't go just like that when we have an inappropriate message from another person, but not from the beneficiary. So that was a concern.
Got it. So basically how to identify that sort of message and also then not respond to that sort of message, right? Yeah. I'm not sure if we have if we've worked on that particular use case in the past, but happy to have a conversation around that. We can actually set up a call where we'll discuss this use case in a little bit more depth, and we can have a conversation. Shamun, do you want to add anything on that? To have any other thoughts on their use case, the thing that they've just described?
No, I think like let's hear the use case and we
Yeah.
can pick that.
Okay. Thanks, Divya, and thanks, Vidushi. That was a good use case to help us also understand how can we support Nalanda Way. Any more questions on the platform? Or on any of our use case? I had one question which was raised while the people was, giving the registering for the event. The question was, how can we use WhatsApp for assessment and program evaluation? Krishna, do you want to take that one? How can we use WhatsApp for assessments and program evaluation?
Got it. Depending on the type of program that you're working on, there are certain metrics every program would be using to understand the performance of their program. So chatbot, while it has certain advantages, it also has certain limitations as well. So we would want you to choose based on what are your key metrics that you would want to measure. One, you can definitely collect information through WhatsApp chatbot. Like you can send your Google Forms, or you can send in a form of interactive messages like with buttons or lists where people can directly just click and give you the responses. So wherever you want to receive any content in terms of a voice note or like images that many organizations use for their educational assessment or something, or you want to collect answers in terms of text messages, this is definitely a easier way. Like a WhatsApp is a easier and a convenient way to collect data. But if you are looking at something like a checkbox where there can be multiple answers for one question, or you are looking at like a rating, there would be some things which the regular monitoring and evaluation might not would be able to collect, and chatbot might not be able to, but more or less things can be easy. So you can use it to a certain extent for data collection, but not very aggressively because it has its certain limitations. So if you have a specific use case in mind and want to explore, hey, is this possible to collect through chatbot? We'll be happy to discuss and explain on that.
Okay. Okay. Do we have people here from Waste Warrior by any chance?
Hello. Yeah, hi,
Yeah.
Sneha.
Hi, Vishal. Hi. So
Yuvraj this side. Vishal had to leave.
sorry, Vishal, I could not hear you. Could you please repeat?
Hello, am I audible?
I can hear you.
I said Yuvraj this side. Vishal had to leave due to
Oh,
some
okay.
work,
Raj.
so
Okay.
I'm there. Yeah.
Okay. So you raised a question on how to use what are certain ways in which you can use Glific for waste sector. That's that's one of the question that was raised by one of your team members.
Correct.
And there are a lot of ways in which you can you can use it. One is basically you spread a lot of awareness. So from the program that we have, from the program that I've seen on your website, and probably you can elaborate more on your program. What we have seen is you spread a lot of awareness around how can you collect waste better. What are certain ways in which you can segregate waste better, and just probably reuse, recycle, and how can you cater to better waste management. So there is a lot of scope around generating awareness and not just restricting to a particular region or a particular area. This is like a massive problem which people are dealing with across the world, right? So you can actually have bite-sized content, put on WhatsApp, do put that content, and then use that content to spread awareness around waste management. So that is a very basic use case that you can think of. Another was you can also think about how can you you also talk about on your website, talk about collecting data on user location. Is that something that you do?
Yeah, basically in our programs, we are trying to solve the waste crisis in the Indian Himalayan region. So in the mountain areas, there are a lot of hotspots created due to, irresponsible dumping of waste. So through that, through, getting access to that location data, we can actually find out where our interventions are needed. And if in a particular area there are hotspots developing, how we can, work with the civic bodies to rectify the situation in due course of time. So yeah, we do that. Yes, also like we do a lot of awareness sessions, big campaigns. We work with a lot of students. So it was happy to see, a lot of use cases when it comes to, engaging with students and, launching some, inter-school competitions, maybe something of that sort, where we, try to engage students to find solutions, learn more, and, share that information with them. So yeah.
Just to add what Sneha said, as I hear, you are also a lot into community activation, like where you are generating campaigns, you are asking people to participate in your campaigns. So maybe it's good for you to even refer reap benefits use cases, because they are like largely into civic like civic participation, and where they also raise awareness on a couple of aspects that you are speaking about, but in the region of Karnataka. So but it will be very useful for you to even check their work, so that you get few thoughts on how they are using the work.
Yeah, thanks, Krishna.
Yeah, so definitely educational content or spreading awareness is one. Then also locating which areas need more attention. That is something where local citizens, citizens can actually record, and through maps you can actually see how many people reported an issue with respect to waste in a particular region. So that is also something you can do, and then cater to those through the bot itself. So that is something that is possible. Reap benefit, I have just shared a link here on the chat. So that's one of the things that they've been doing here on the bot. So you can probably read the use case in the blog post that I've just shared. Okay, any more questions? We're 4 minutes over time.
Krishna, I have one. Sneha, I have another question. When it comes to audio files, which I was asking earlier in the chat, is there any size limitations to it? If we send any audio files?
Shamoon, do you want
Sorry,
to?
what is the
I
question?
think it was 5 MB around. Yeah.
5 MB.
With respect to size, and the length should be like, it depends, like how a small size is like
Sorry, what was the question?
Krishna, the question is what should be the size of the content, the audio file or a video file, and that's 5 MB.
I'll just share a link in which you have the limitations.
Can't hear you. It is, what is the length of the video or the audio there?
Sorry, can you hear us now?
Yeah.
Okay, the size is 5 MB. So you can have in 5 MB whatever content you want to share. It can be video, it can be audio, it can be a PDF, it can be an image, it can be a GIF. So whatever you want to share in that, that's the limit of.
Divya, I have shared a link with you in the chat, which has the size limitation for different types of media. You can refer that.
Thanks, Krishna.
Okay, any last questions before we close?
Sorry to interrupt again. So if there's any contact number that we could, apart from the mail ladies, the immediate spokesperson from your place, if you could put it in the chat, it would be helpful.
I'm just going to put my email address here. And you can probably just use this to have a conversation.
Neha, I'm dropping off the call in case you need something. Feel free to text me. Thank you.